Alright, first things first, let's make sure that you have all the parts necessary to assemble your mask kit. A single mask kit will contain one outer mask layer, one inner mask layer. You can tell it's the inner mask by the small rectangle cut out at the tip of the nose. One spool of string. Yours may look different depending on which type of string I'm using at the time of packaging. Two small wooden needles. Two nose wires. Two paracord ear loops. Two ear loop adjusters. These might be made of either wood or acrylic. And two small wooden or acrylic beads. Now, assuming everything is in your kit, let's get started. The first step is going to be to separate the layers. Because of the way they're cut, they may be stuck together, so it might help to use one of the wooden needles to create a small hole and then pry the layers apart. They shouldn't separate it at the front of the mask, though. Next, identify the outer mask layer by finding the mask layer with no rectangle on the nose, and then turn it inside out. Try to get as many of the bumps as possible out of the front seam, as it'll make the final product look a lot better, and it's much easier to get them now than it would be later. Next, take about a foot of string off of your spool and thread it into the wooden needle. If it's getting really difficult to thread the string into the needle, try and twist the end of it a little bit tighter and then moisten it with your lips. Tie a knot in your string opposite the end that the needle is on. I usually like to do 2 loops to make sure that the knot is big enough to not pull through the holes in the mask. Take your 2 nose wires and the inner mask layer and feed the 2 nose wires through the rectangular hole at the tip of the nose. Open the mask and make sure that they're centered. Next, roll the mask over the nose wire so that the nose wire is sandwiched inside and you can see through the holes beneath the wire. Next, grab the outer mask layer and roll the material at the nose down towards the inside. This will create a nice hem at the top once we stitch it together. Place your masks next to each other and line up the holes. I like to start stitching from the inside of the outer mask layer on the right side. That helps to hide the knot between the mask layers. So pull them apart and put my first stitch on the inner side of the outer mask and pull it tight. Try not to pull it too tight using the needle itself, as they're a little bit brittle and it might break. Additionally, make sure that the nose wire is being captured by the loop that we're creating here. Stitch back to the same hole that we started in and tighten the loop. On the first and last stitch, I like to go back through the same hole twice to make sure it's extra tight. And then from this point, I'll just start walking the stitch down the line through each hole, taking extra care not to miss any holes, especially once I get towards the point where the masks are fused on the bridge of the nose. I'll fast forward here for a moment. And then we can end the stitch the same way we started, by looping through the same hole twice and tying it off. On the second loop, leave it a little bit loose and then pull it back through the loop that you just made, creating a knot. You can then push the excess string down between the mask layers to hide it. Alright, we are almost done. The final step will be to install the ear loops. First, go ahead and thread your needle just as before with about a foot of string. Tie a big knot in the opposite end, like we did previously. Now take one side of the mask and your ear loop, and you're going to roll the mask material over the ear loop to create a tube. It doesn't need to be too tight because the string will hold it together. Then take your needle, find the top hole, and create your first loop. Go back through the same hole 2 times to create 2 loops. This will reinforce it. Then walk the stitch down the line. Once again, I'll fast forward through this part. And I broke a needle. That's why I sent 2 in the kit. I'll just rethread my string and keep going. And put 2 loops at the end again, just like before. I didn't use quite enough string to make this easy, so you could use a little bit more than I did. It can look really good to try and tuck this little extra bit of string up into the loops that you created, but I didn't leave myself quite enough string to do this, so I'm just going to cut it short. Alright, that's 1 down. Just repeat the same steps on the other side. Next, grab the ear loop adjuster and the bead, and I'll show you how to tie those on. We'll start with the adjuster. Take the adjuster and the top half of the ear loop string and pass it through the top hole in the adjuster. Tie a knot on the other side to make sure that the string doesn't fall back through the adjuster. Next, take the bottom string of the ear loop and pass it through the middle hole in the tensioner from below, and then back down through the bottom hole in the tensioner. This will be how you adjust the ear loops. Finally, put the bead on, and then tie a loop around the bead itself. This bead will help you find the string when it's dangling behind your ear and give you a little bit more recognition of the string that you should be pulling on. And that is it. Thanks for watching.